Disclaimer. To rank this list, I use the prices of these cars in the auction house. And the way auction house prices work is based off of supply and demand. So by the time you're seeing this, the prices might have changed because the supply would have gone down or the demand would have gone up. Thank you and enjoy the video. Okay, kicking off the list with number 10, the Austin 7. This car is obtainable as a reward by completing Tier 5 of the Super 7, which means that technically it is free. Now the car itself isn't actually that great of a car skill-wise, which is why despite being free, it is this low on the list. However, what the car doesn't have in skill, it makes up in tricks. Watch this clip. Now that was an insanely long wheelie. No other car in the game could do something like that, which is why I think this car is worth it. Here's the tune if you guys want to download it once you get the car. Number 9, the Koenigsegg CCX. Before I continue, keep this in mind, again with the disclaimer, the cars may change price, and this is especially one of them considering it's rare. But it is actually really, really good. And currently it's at a very low price. You can see even with traction and steering control on, it drifts like a beast. You saw previously, it drives super well, super fast. It's so good, it even rivals the Koenigsegg CC GT, one of the best cars in the game. And here's probably the best part of this whole thing. You might already be able to get the car absolutely for free, no cost whatsoever. Follow these steps. First, what you want to do is open up your pause menu. Then go to Horizon Life, and then you can see at the bottom there Message Center. Press on that. Then go over to Gifts, and you might be able to see it there depending on if you played Forza during December. If you did, it'll be there. You can press it and it'll be added to your garage. Now, if you weren't lucky enough to get one of these as a gift, you can still buy one off the auction house because everyone has one. One, there's a lot of people selling them, and two, no one ever bids on them, which means that you can see as I scroll down, the buyout prices might be high, but the bids aren't. So you might want to aim for something along the lines of this, or like something under 100,000. Like this, for example. You can see that it's very cheap, and it has no bids. So just search up Koenigsegg CCX on the auction house and you should be good. Number 8. The Hoonigan Gymkhana 9 Ford Focus RS RX. Okay, before I begin, I'd like to note that this footage, I edited the settings so that traction and stability control were off. If you have this car, turn those off, you're going to get much better drifting results. But now on to some details. If you want to drift and you just booted up the game for the first time, this is the car you want to try to go for. As you can see here, it's actually really, really good and surprisingly cheap. I'm doing it completely stock here and look at the results I'm getting. And I am by no means a good drifter. You can already see that I'm definitely a little bit sloppy, but the car itself just makes up for it so much. And if drifting's not your thing, this is also a really, really good rally car. All you have to do is throw on some rally suspension, rally tires, and you're good to go. Okay, let's talk pricing. So you can see a lot of these are in the 300,000 range. Now that's still a really good price for this kind of car, but you can get them for cheaper. You gotta find these like ones that aren't 300,000. I'd go for around 100,000 or something less. You can see I'm staying on those. I got a couple 50,000, 70,000, 100,000. Those are the ones you want to look for and bid for unless you're willing to spend 300,000. Number 7, the Ferrari F12 TDF. Okay, let's get pricing out of the way first, because I bet you're thinking to yourself, wait, TG, a Ferrari? That's got to be expensive. But as you can see here, the prices are very mixed, but there are definitely a few cheap ones. Each of these, 100, 100,000, 50,000, they can get cheap. And unlike a lot of the cars on here, actually unlike every car on here, these can be bought from the auto show. Whereas like all the other cars, the only option is to get them from the auction house. This one can be bought from the auto show if all else fails, but it's at a much higher expense, as you'll see in a sec. Okay, so here we're going to switch from the auction house to the auto show so I can show you guys what the actual price is if you were to buy it from no one, if you were to buy it just from the auto show. And that is actually very, very expensive at $500,000, $500,000. So I suggest if you are going to get this car, get it from the auction house. But no matter where you buy it from, this is definitely going to be worth it. And that's because this is an S2 class car. S2 is the second best class in the game, right behind X class. And what's even better? This car can actually be upgraded to X class, making it one of the cheapest X class cars to get. Number 6, Ford Raptor debris design truck. So this car is obtainable very similar to the Austin 7, except it's not through Super 7, it's through the Eliminator, on Tier 15, which means that, yes, it's going to take a lot more work to do, but yep, it's still free. And this is easily one of the best off-road cars in the game, so being free with minimal effort, well, I shouldn't say minimal, it is definitely a bit of effort, but still, being free is actually really, really good for this. So let's give some statistics, shall we? First off, if you're not the off-road kind of guy and you get this at level 15, you can still sell it on the auction house and make about $3 million. So even if you don't want this car, you can use this car to get a car you want. But honestly, who wouldn't want this car? It handles off-road amazingly. If you have any speed zone, speed traps off-road, this is probably the way to go unless you have the Hoonigan RS200. And the fact that it's free makes it that much better. And if you're one of those people that doesn't like off-road, but still doesn't want to sell it because, I mean, it's still a pretty good car, you can actually completely drop it, put on street tires, and make this a drag racer, which I just find hilarious, but still really, really good. And just like that, we're at our top 5, with number 5 being the Infiniti Q60 Concept. What I especially like about this car is it's consistent being cheap. No matter what, every time I've come to the auction house to look for this car, it's consistently been 20,000 buyout and 5,000 bid. It's really, really good for that reason, and this next one. And like I said, this next one is, despite it being that cheap, it's got an absolutely amazing wide body kit on it, as you can see. And this wide body kit makes it S2, as you can see there on the left side, which makes it, again, the second best class in the game. I can't stress that enough. Other stats include its absolutely amazing handling, again due to the wide body kit, a top speed of, at least the way I tuned it, 230 miles per hour. Unfortunately, I don't think you're going to see me hit that in this clip. And its insane drag car ability. You take this to a drag race event, 99% chance you're gonna win. And remember, this is all for the low price of 20,000 credits at most. That's insanely cheap, especially for an S2 car. Number 4, the Peel P50. Okay, if you've heard of Forza Horizon 4, you've heard of the Peel P50. This might as well be the third cover car for Forza Horizon 4's cover. It's known for being the smallest car in any Forza game ever, and surprisingly going up to a very high speed. As you can see, this tune I have actually brings it up to 100 miles per hour. That's insane for a car that you can carry in one hand. I'm not joking, by the way. Notice the handle on the back of the car. It's actually meant to be carryable. Of course, this tune makes it almost impossible to control, but I mean, come on. It's hilarious. And I mean, I wouldn't put this up on the list, at least this high, if you actually had to pay for it. And you know what that means. No, actually, it's not a challenge card. It's a barn find. First one on the list, there will be a second one. But you see, there it is right there. So if you play the game long enough, you'll actually get this car completely free. And you don't even need to put in any effort. It'll just pop up at one point. And honestly, that's why I like it so much. You just get it at one point in the game, and then you get to have fun with it all you want. And once you're done, you can actually sell it in the auction house for about 200,000. Okay, before we get to the top 3, let's do some honorable mentions. Okay, our first honorable mention is the all-new 2057 Cyberpunk car introduced to Forza, well, on the day of recording this audio, literally today, but once you're watching this, it's probably going to be later. The reason this one is on the honorable mention list is because right now it's free by doing a specific race you'll see me do in a second. But Forza said that race is only going to last a little while, and they didn't say how long, so I'm going to go ahead and assume it's a month. And I'm going to assume this because it's an Update 30 car, and they said it would stay all throughout Update 30, which an update normally lasts about a month. But regardless, if you want to do this race right now, all you have to do is hop onto Forza, go to Edinburgh, as you can see I'm in right now, and do the race called Nightfall. You're going to see me drive up to it in a second. And there it is. You can see it has that very special glitchy icon. Here, I'll show you on the map real quick. See that right there? That's the icon you want to look out for. If that's not there, the time is gone and you can't get the car. However, if that is there, like it was for me, all you have to do is get in your most powerful car because you'll be versing the Cyberpunk car. Here, I'm just going to quickly skip past me picking a car so you don't have to witness me sifting through all my cars trying to find my best one. I eventually went with the Jesco, of course. And then all you have to do at that point is win the race. And upon winning the race, as if you won a seasonal challenge, you will be awarded the 2057 Cyberpunk car. Now, seriously, do this quick, because again, there is no defined date that Forza is just going to remove this race. So if you see this video, hop on right now, see if it's there. If so, do it. You'll have one of the rarest cars in the game, because I can guarantee as soon as this event goes away, no one's going to sell it on the auction house. And if they do, it's going to be for 20 million. But anyway, here is some footage of me doing the race, just so you kind of know what to look out for. Of course, I'm in the Jesco. I do actually, in this take, get beaten by this car. So, like, seriously, be ready. Take your best car. But that is going to do it for our first honorable mention. Let's move on to the next one. And our next one is, of course, the Napier Railton. Now, the reason this is here is because this is cheap, but not for long. Again, get on this really quick. Now, excuse my horrible driving here. It's not the car's fault. You can see I literally missed this turn. But the point is, this car is actually one of the best cars of its type. It actually has a real airplane engine inside of it used as an engine, which I find really cool. Now, you might be asking yourself, TG, why is this an honorable mention? Why is it so cheap now but not soon? And that is because everyone right now has it as a challenge to complete. Same thing with the Cyberpunk car. You complete a series of races in this case, and you get rewarded this car. Which means that everyone who already had this car from other challenges is selling it. But eventually, people are going to stop selling it because people who haven't have it are going to buy it. And obviously, they're not going to sell it back because they don't have it and they want to keep the car. So here we're going to quickly take a look at the auction price, which I believe is right around 100,000 if you're lucky. Now you'll notice here, even it is still very, very high, but you can definitely find a couple of good ones if you're lucky enough to bid on. Yeah, and there's one. There you go. So you'd bid on something like that. I'm going to see if I could find some more here. 300,000 is okay. But yeah, find one that's generally lower than 500,000 and get that one. Oh, there's another one. So you got to look for those. You just got to be lucky and have no one bid on it and have you win it. And that will do it for our honorable mentions. So let's get back to the top 3 best cars to buy once you first start the game. Number 3. The ATS GT. This Italian supercar is absolutely amazing once you start off the game to get your first ever good car. It's great all around and has an astonishingly low price. Okay, let's start with the most important thing, the price. And as you can already see, it is extremely low price except for a couple of these which are selling for a lot of money. But as you can see as I scroll down, a lot of these are selling for under 100,000 for buyout price. That's a pretty good price for a car this good. You would think being a special event car, it would sell more in the 20 million range, as you can see a couple of these are. But you can get one of these pretty cheap if you're lucky enough. Okay, let's talk stats. First off, let's start with the overall class being S2, which again, for a car that only costs 100,000, is really, really good. Now, like I said earlier, this car isn't particularly good at speed or handling. It's a mix of both. Like I said, very good all-around car. And I can't stress this enough, if you literally just got the game and unlocked the auction house, this is the car you want to buy. And this doesn't affect the stats at all, but at least in my opinion, it looks pretty nice too. Number 2, the Lotus Elise GT1. Normally, I wouldn't really put a car like this up so high, but the reason it is because it's absolutely free. What I mean by this is it's actually a barn find, which means if you play the game enough, you're literally just going to get this car for free. And it has a potential to be an X-Class, which is the best part. Now this thing isn't really good at acceleration, but it really hits its stride on the corners. Overall, definitely a good race car to start off with, would recommend, especially for free. And finally, number 1, the Ferrari 512S. This is probably the best way to get a really, really good car. It's pretty good at cornering, and it has a top speed of 260 miles per hour, which makes it really good at drag racing. Here is some footage of me driving it. You can see that it slips a little bit through the corners, however, carries a lot of speed through the straights. And probably my favorite feature about the car, this is probably the easiest car to hear the twin turbos on. Listen to the following clip. And And finally, the moment you've all been waiting for, the price. Now this car goes for an astonishing $25,000, and that is insanely cheap for this. As you can see, there's also a couple 100,000, 110,000s out there, but no one ever bids on this, which means it is super easy to get it for $25,000. And for this kind of car, that is amazing. And that's it. Hope you guys liked the video. If so, press the like button and follow me on my other socials listed below. And with that, I leave you guys till next we meet. Goodbye.